Hello, everybody that's joining us for this afternoon's webinar session with eMedia Monitor. I'm really delighted to have with me today Magdalena Horanska, who joins us from both FIBEP and Newton Media. And I think the topic of much of today's conversation, and we're going to ask you to wear your FIBEP hat if that's okay. But we're going to perhaps be having some reflections also on how media is changing, how you've seen media changing also at your time at Newton Media, and also bring this back to the topic of conversation that's very close to eMedia Monitor's hearts, and perhaps spend a little bit of time talking about audio-visual communication as well, because of course eMedia Monitor is a broadcast monitoring platform that focuses on audio-visual communications, has the most brilliant speech-to-text technology, but is also now not just focused on radio and TV, but can assess what's being discussed on YouTube, TikTok, anything where we have spoken word as well. So first of all, it is my pleasure to invite you here, Magdalena, and it's really lovely to see you because I think the last time we saw each other in person was at the World Media Intelligence Congress in Dusseldorf, and that was just over a month ago. I think we were just finishing that up. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Steph, for having me today. And good afternoon, good morning, or good evening to everyone watching this webinar. Really great pleasure being here.
Now, that World Media Intelligence Congress, when I came to Dusseldorf, it was actually my first big FIBEP event. I'd been present at a FIBEP Tech Day in Rome in 2023, but it was my first World Media Intelligence Congress. And I just wanted to spend some time reflecting on that because I had such a brilliant time for those few days in Germany. And just wanted to find out from you, Magdalena, what were some of your highlights of the Dusseldorf summit? And perhaps we can spend a little bit of time after that looking ahead to what's going to be happening in terms of FIBEP events in 2026. How was?
Absolutely, Steph. I'm really happy to hear that you enjoyed the Congress in Düsseldorf, and so did I. But before I speak about the larger themes of this Congress, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous effort that made this event possible, because our preparations, believe it or not, began way back in November 2024. It was actually a year ago. And from the very start, our host sponsor, Press Relation Germany, they offered us a really valuable support. So they helped us identify potential venues for the conference and also for the gala dinner in Düsseldorf, because how we organize the events, it is just our small team in FIBEP. And it is always a great help if we have a local host who knows the environment and can give us some guidance regarding the places. Also, what I want to highlight is the work of the Agenda Planning Committee that is being led by Nathan Adelsberg from MACREC. He is one of FIBEP vice presidents, and they began shaping the program in January this year. And their work really deserves a special recognition because agenda planning is a huge responsibility. It is very extremely time intensive and absolutely essential for the success of the Congress. And Nathan and the entire committee delivered an outstanding program, and the feedback we received speaks for itself. It's always we carry out a satisfaction survey just to see how we are doing and if the delegates are satisfied or not, what we can improve next year. And the majority of participants this year expressed that they were very satisfied with the venue, facilities, and food and beverage. Overall, the experience was rated really positively, and the agenda and speakers received over a 80% satisfaction rate. So this is a clear testament to the quality of the content and the relevance of the discussions. And maybe I could mention like those favorite sessions by the delegates. The number one was Reclaiming Trust in a Fragmented Information Order by Damien Kopp. By the way, Damien is the guest speaker at the upcoming FIBEP Media Intelligence Explained podcast episode. So the conversation will follow. The other well-rated sessions were Voices of the Publisher, Global Voice of Intelligence, and Through the Client's Lens. These sessions resonated strongly with attendees and reflected the core discussion happening in our industry today.
No, I think the voice of the publisher was also one of my favorite sessions as well. And not only was the quality of the sessions within the conference hall brilliant, but actually the networking outside the conference hall was second to none. I have memories of some great cocktails at Press Relations' headquarters, that amazing evening with the gala evening where we all dressed up in our 20s outfits. And then another impromptu cocktail session that went on, and some karaoke as well, which perhaps leads us nicely on to maybe where we may be heading to in 2026, because there's a country that's probably quite famous for karaoke that we're hoping to all join in later. One of the things I also remember, because I joined FIBEP a couple of years ago, and you let me in for a special reason, actually, and Todd mentioned it on stage when we were there in Dusseldorf, is that I think I have the honor of me personally, as Steph, being FIBEP's first individual member. You
correct.
allowed me
Yes.
through the door for a special reason, and that was wonderful. And I remember, so the year I would have joined would have been the year you were in Dublin. I guess it was the year before last.
It,
And or
yeah,
did
it
I
was,
miss one? No, it was Cyprus, was it that year? So maybe it was
yeah.
before
Dublin
then.
was 22. It was just after COVID. And then we went to Singapore and then Cyprus. So I think it was Cyprus you are mentioning.
Oh, it was Dublin, and it makes me realise that I've been a FIBEP member for longer than I can actually remember, because I recall that you invited me to come and sort of speak, I guess perhaps as a new member back at that Dublin summit, and unfortunately I wasn't able to attend then because I was visiting Paris for the first time, showing my daughter the country where I was born. But what I didn't realize at the time is I missed a huge opportunity, because FIBEP, in its welcoming of new members, allows those new members up on the stage to say a few words. And so I didn't realize that I missed that opportunity back in Dublin. And I think that that's a wonderful feature of the Congress, is that ability for new members to come on stage and speak to the community and say a few words about their products and services. So it's always something to bear in mind if you're new to FIBEP, is that is a huge opportunity at the Congress to get up on stage. And I'm sorry that I missed that opportunity a few years back. One of the things I got really excited about also towards the end of this Congress was the way in which you revealed the location for next year. And there was this magical moment, and there was a video that was playing, and then Kaisei from At Clipping in Japan came on screen, and I got really excited because actually it was through FIBEP that Kaisei and I had made a connection during the course of last year, and we'd had some conversations with each other. So I got really excited when I recognized the name and the person. And you used that video playing opportunity to sneak out the back and put this beautiful kimono on. And then you came out on stage and revealed that next year, FIBEP is heading to Tokyo 2026. I know you've just come back from Tokyo past few weeks, because again, as you say, the planning of these events takes, a year. So I was wanting to find out if there's anything you can reveal to us about Tokyo 2026 to get us even more excited about what's coming up next year.
Yeah, actually, in the last days, I have been receiving so many emails like, can you already disclose what are the dates for Tokyo? And I have really super exciting hot news because it's really fresh. This morning, I have signed the contract with the venue in Tokyo, so I can finally announce the dates. And actually, this webinar is really the first to know because we haven't made it yet public through our social media and newsletters. So the big news is the next Congress is will be held from November the 3rd until November the 5th next year, and the venue will be Hilton Tokyo. It's a hotel located in very nice area of Tokyo. It's called Shinjuku. It's a vibrant part of the city, like very, very lively. Maybe you remember some pictures from Tokyo with like really busy area with iconic crossroads. So that's the area we are going to stay in.
Oh, that's absolutely exciting, and we really appreciate you giving that exclusive scoop to eMedia Monitor. I'm sure you're going to be announcing it on your socials very soon, but those of us who are here listening live on the webinar really appreciate the opportunity to start planning for Tokyo 2026. I'm definitely planning it, and I remember when you told me just before we started this webinar what those dates were, I got even more excited because it's even closer to my big special birthday that I'm going to be celebrating next year, and I'm going to try and coincide my trip to Tokyo to an extended sort of holiday as well, because it's a long way to go, and I think many of us will be taking the opportunity to tag on a holiday sometimes to our professional networking session and conference session. And I think that often happens, doesn't it, within the FIBEP community. I know it's not always a reason for the locations that you choose, but it just so happens that many of the locations you choose are destinations that we would all want to go and visit sort of in our personal lives too. I know that we've got some upcoming one-day sessions coming up even before Tokyo. There's going to be the Tech Day sponsored by eMedia Monitor in the Canary Islands, and then there's also going to be copyright talks coming up. I think is that in March. Sponsored by O Point, and that's going to be in Oslo. Again, these are both places that one would be happy to spend a few extra days on the either at the beginning or the end of the conference. Do you ever have an opportunity, I suppose, yourself to have a holiday before or after these events, or perhaps as you as one of the key people within the FIBEP organization just don't get the opportunity to have the holiday too on top?
It's definitely always difficult to have some holiday before because I have to be on spot, planning everything, checking everything, if everything is well prepared. So no question before. But after, sometimes I happen that I'm able to plan some little vacation. This is something I definitely plan after the tech day in Canary Island, and moreover, I can maybe also disclose that we are planning something which is going to be called something like CEO meeting. So we would like to invite CEOs from FIBEP member companies to stay longer in Tenerife, in Canary Island, and in a small group discuss strategic decisions, strategic moves, and maybe pain points that the CEOs are tackling with in our industry. So this is one thing. And for Tokyo, I'm definitely planning to take 1 or 2 week holiday. It will be fabulous time, to be honest, because there are like two times in a year, which is like highlights for visiting Japan. One is in spring when sakuras are blowing and everything is pink. And the second chance is October and November, and our Congress is going to be held in early November. And this is the time when trees are changing color.
Oh, beautiful. So actually, we probably will want to head out a little bit from Tokyo to see that. I imagine. I don't know whether there's opportunities within Tokyo's. I mean, Tokyo city
It's
center's
absolutely
huge.
also in Tokyo because Tokyo is full of parks and gardens. You can go around the royal gardens with the Emperor's Palace. So you can even see it in Tokyo. But if you have some extra days to spend in Japan, I definitely recommend to go and explore the country. It's an amazing country. I haven't been there yet, but now I am receiving pictures from our secretariat lady, Susanna. She stayed after our inspection in Tokyo like two weeks ago, and the country is amazing.
Oh no, that sounds amazing. I can't wait for that. And sort of in a sense, sort of picking up on or continuing with the holiday vibe. I know that I remember back a few years back, I think when you had a congress in Singapore, and there was either a pre or post event, sort of almost like a kind of social gathering to go and explore. Perhaps it's the kind of beach that's nearby in Singapore. I've been to Singapore before. I remember also when I went to the event in Rome, I think that was in 2023, there was a sort of very welcoming, come and join us. We're going to be having a meal together the night before. You're very welcome to come and join us. And I think that that's something I very much felt when I came to this event this year, is this kind of sense of kind of family. And I remember also back at the Rome event, somebody got out this amazing photograph, and it showed one of well, I don't know if it was the first ever FIBEP meeting, but it was an early day FIBEP meeting from some point in the early 1950s of some of the founding members, I guess, of FIBEP in one of their original meetings that they may have held at an event in Rome in the 1950s. And first of all, I had no idea that FIBEP had been going since the 1950s. And so I sort of said to you, what more can you tell me about the history of FIBEP? And I think you've done a little bit of research, and you can perhaps tell a little bit more about that, because it really struck me. Also, there were sort of men and women, they were almost like husbands and wives. It very much felt like those early days of FIBEP may have kind of been born out of family businesses. And I just, yeah, wondered if you found anything more about the early days of FIBEP that you could share with us.
Yeah, actually, I had to do a research because
Thank
it
you.
was founded in 1953, and definitely that's the year I was not born yet.
Yes.
So I have to rely on the sources. It was founded in Paris, in France, and uh, at the time, these were just family businesses. It was post-war era, and information was becoming more essential than ever. And governments, businesses, and cultural institutions make sense of a rapidly changing world. And across many countries, small dedicated press clipping bureaus, and maybe you are wondering what FIBEP acronym stands for. It is the Federation of Press Clipping Bureaus in translation, because it derives from French. It was founded in France, so the acronym comes from French. And these small press clipping bureaus were working tirelessly to track what was being said in the newspapers, magazines, and other media at the time. And most of these businesses were family-run enterprises that were built on craftsmanship, accuracy, and trust. But even then, they faced challenges that feel surprisingly modern: growing volumes of media, new formats, cross-border communication, and the need to collaborate rather than compete in isolation. And so those families, those early pioneers of media monitoring, came together in Paris to form something new, something bigger than a single bureau, and they founded FIBEP. I'm just not going to try pronouncing the French thing, the Fédération Internationale des Bureaux Extracts de Presse. Maybe I can't speak French. Um, and it began modestly. There were like 18 member companies at the time. They were representing a niche industry, and at that time they were not competing, so they were free to share any knowledge, any best practice. And they were cooperating because if you need a coverage from a different country, it's not nothing easier than contact your partner company in FIBEP and ask for the data. And if I remember correct, I don't remember all those companies that were founding FIBEP, but I know that some of them still exist. Many of them have stopped the operation since, and many of them have been acquired by some newer company. But until now, I know, for example, Observer from Austria was one of the founding members, also Lecco della Stampa from Italy. And I can remember maybe from UK, Durance. It was one of the founding members. Or country, the French company Argus de la Presse. I think it was
Yes.
acquired later, but it doesn't exist anymore. And those guys just went together and were discussing, and it was like really family spirit. And decade by decade, the industry has transformed. It went from print to broadcast, and later from digital to real time. Now we have AI involved. And all these changes have also pushed FIBEP forward. So today, FIBEP is not only uniting all media monitoring or media intelligence companies, it also puts together technological companies that somehow help monitoring to serve better to their customers. And also, let's say, related businesses like media contact databases or media analytical companies. So it's all what we now call media intelligence industry.
No, I love that. I love that sort of rundown through history. And actually, I was going to reflect on my very first times I came across the FIBEP name would have been back in the day through that company, Durance, because I used to work for a company called Metrica that was acquired by Durance back in the day. It was in the days of paper press cuttings that would get sent in the post overnight. Do you remember all of those things back in the day before the internet when we had actual press clippings, hard copy press clippings, and always at the top where you would have the date and the publication name, it would have FIBEP in brackets afterwards. And I never really understood what or why. It was obviously the overseas press cuttings that the clients were receiving. But I realise now actually that it must have been, again, the way in which Durance, as a UK-based media monitoring agency, was able to then go and source globally its clients' needs, and I guess partner with all of these other local media monitoring agencies in the local area. And I think I love the way that you sort of said how it sort of started off as about collaboration rather than competition, and it speaks to something. Obviously, I've been very much involved in the AMEC world for many years, and a saying that we say in the AMEC world is a rising tide lifts all ships. And the purpose of a trade association is to bring organizations that might traditionally compete against each other, but to come together and work together for the benefit of the community. And I think it's so fascinating now to hear how many different types of organizations are now involved within FIBEP. And I saw that breadth of types of organizations present in the room there at the summit in Dusseldorf, because I guess it just shows how media is becoming more complex than it ever was before, isn't it? And it's not just defined as ink on paper like perhaps it might have been back in the day. It's no longer about what's on your old-fashioned radio coming through your radio receiver or TV, but it's about the millions and millions of different ways actually in which communications can be reaching us, and then the massive complexity of all the data that flows in and flows out, and all of the complexity of what we can do with media coverage now. Perhaps back in the day, it was just about finding the content. But now, actually, it's about processing it a bit more, and it's about finding meaning in it, and it's about counting it in more complex ways or understanding it in more complex ways than ever before. And maybe, I suppose, you've probably seen quite a lot of changes in your time. I suppose also now with your Newton Media hat on, you've been a long time member of FIBEP, but the media has been changing an awful lot, even in the past 20 years. I just wondered whether if you can tell me how you feel things have changed over your time in the media intelligence profession, because it's just constantly, it never stops changing, does it? Do you have any reflections on the changing face of media?
Yeah, well, I'm quite, let's say, old fellow in this industry because I joined Newton Media in 2002. So this year it's 23 years since I have been present in this industry. And it has changed a lot. Like at the beginning, we were just establishing our international department. Then we joined FIBEP in 2003. And what was our, let's say, advantage at the beginning? Because we never have been any press cutting agency. We were always like press clipping agency. What's the difference? We have always done the thing in digital. So we never like cut something with scissors and glue and send by post. We always did it digital, but in a completely different way than we are doing this today. Because we were transforming everything what was in print and later on in online and later on social into text. And the scan the pictures was just secondary thing to look at because the text was powerful enough to search for the keywords. And so in this manner, new to media was slightly different from press cutting, but over decades it changed because the media landscape has changed rapidly. Like I have seen at the beginning how online media are becoming more and more powerful and print media were declining. And we saw this trend starting in Australia and then moving around the world and even reaching the conservative Europe nowadays. Then the sudden increase of social media and that boom. And today there are so many formats, and we have to, adjust our workflows and accommodate all those channels into our monitoring service. That makes it much more difficult than it was 20 years ago. So it's never-ending learning process, I would say, because there is always something new. If you don't follow the trends, you are just falling behind, and that's the reality. And it's very turbulent, especially now with the new formats like podcasts and increasing portion of audio-visual content, even in online news. It's very demanding, and it is very essential to follow the trends.
Yeah, I guess that has been a key thing, and is definitely something I've noticed, particularly in the past 5 years. Whereas perhaps the key word, the text mention, let's call it, was the thing that could power everything, particularly on the evaluation side. It's increasingly important that messages and sentiment can be conveyed in a picture or in a visual as much as through the words or through a sound. And the way consumers are even consuming media now has changed through technology. Even if you write a long blog post, there's often a button at the top that allows you to listen to that blog post through your headphones, perhaps if you're driving or walking the dog. And so, whereas people might have read things with their eyes, they're now sort of reading things with their ears almost, because those words are being spoken through a computerized voice at them. And then, of course, yeah, it's true, we are changing. the way we consume. It's why we're having sessions today, such as a webinar, because perhaps people are more likely to engage and consume in this kind of audio visual content kind of world. Perhaps less so, lots of written words, because perhaps we are all, I don't know, maybe we've just received too much to read and we've morphed our brain and changed our brain to consume media in a different way. But it does bring new challenges. But again, just like you were explaining, there are organizations in the FIBEP family that are specialists in all these evolving complexities that require new technologies, complex technologies, and constantly evolving technologies as well. So yeah, it's a very, very exciting time. Just was also reflecting actually, sort of also back to and just about evolution and how people evolved, and back to the idea of family actually. One of the sessions I really loved at the FIBEP summit in Dusseldorf was when Martin from, and I'm going to say this word in sort of German, and it's going to be terrible because I'm half French, from Wirtschaft Walker, who was one of, I think he's one of the digital editors there, and he had a really interesting and compelling story about how media is changing. But one of the things I really loved about his introduction when he got on stage is that he explained that he used to be a media analyst at Uniceptor also back in the day. And it made me laugh because I've had I've had fa I've had colleagues who have gone on from my organization who were perhaps once media analysts who have gone on to become, for example, politicians. And I think it's so fascinating that, okay, Magdalena, you and I have been in this industry since I was in the late 90s, you were in the early 2000s. So we've been in this industry well over 20 years, haven't we? And we've stayed in the industry. But it's also fascinating to see how some other people who started in our industry have moved on to do some really fascinating things. So they've become editors of newspapers or magazines, or they've become politicians or senators. I think there was even a ex media analyst at Metrica back in the day. That was that first company I ever worked for in the 1990s, who went on to become the chief executive officer of this organization that you might have heard of. It was definitely a big story a few years ago back here in the UK, of an organization called Cambridge Analytica. Don't know if you heard about the Cambridge Analytica story, but they were very much involved in a scandal involving Facebook and voting and so on. I have to be careful what I say in case this were to get knocked off of YouTube when we put it up. But isn't it interesting how those that come in, let's say, to the groundswell and of the labor force within media intelligence, sometimes can also use it as a springboard to do some really interesting things. And I just find that fascinating as well. Those of us who stay in the industry, but then those who move on and either achieve great things or just interesting things. So I just wanted to put that reflection out there. So thinking about evolution and so on, I can see that there's all these different types of organizations that have been joining FIBEP. And whereas perhaps it was that sort of traditional media monitoring agency, it isn't just that before. And now, you know, you are letting individuals like myself in, because there are also, you know, individual consultants that operate and specialize in this field. So how else do you see FIBEP perhaps evolving in the coming years? Do you think that it will continue to bring in more, again, this kind of complex network of different types of suppliers that may be useful to the industry? Or do you think there are going to be some other interesting directions that the organization might take in the future? Where do you think things are heading? And it may be that you know it's going to be more of the same, more brilliant events and more opportunities for professionals to collaborate together. But do you sense that the industry is moving in a particular direction? Just trying to ask about the future, really.
I think it will be the same in the terms of networking and the events. But what I think would be changing is the content. It is always like reflecting the latest trends. And when I think about the future of FIBEP, I see an organization that will continue to evolve far beyond its origin in press clipping. As our industry shifts towards artificial intelligence, real-time insights, and global data intelligence, FIBEP has the opportunity to become a true international hub, a place where technology, standards, ethics, and collaboration come together. And I believe FIBEP will play an increasingly strategic role, guiding best practices like it has been doing so far, strengthening global partnerships, and helping our members navigate a rapidly changing information landscape. In short, FIBEP's future is not only about media monitoring, it is about shaping how the world understands it.
Yeah, no, I really like the way you've put that. And I love, guiding best practice and all the challenges. I think around things like copyright and remuneration for content are actually going to be key, sort of almost existential issues for the industry. And hopefully on issues such as best practice, I hope that there's more opportunity for FIBEP and AMEC to help share and guide and educate the industry and our client base on what best practice looks like and continue to do that. Because I know on the AMEC side, I'm very involved in educational initiatives. And I suppose that these conversations can take that beyond just those who purchase media intelligence sort of wholesale as a provider and a supplier, but also creeps through to our client organizations, the ones that consume the content that we're finding for them and processing for them. So there's still so many millions of professionals we've still got to reach. So hopefully, collaboratively, both FIBEP and AMEC can be targeting those people to learn all about best practice. Um, I remember when the term media intelligence kind of came about, and I've been a long time listener of FIBEP's podcast. And I think that in one of the first podcasts, I think it was explained a little bit what media intelligence means. And I don't know who came up with it, if that was a FIBEP term or if that sort of came up, it happened through the industry. But I very much like the term media intelligence to cover both media monitoring and media evaluation, because that's the sort of side I come from, the sort of analytics and the evaluation that happens after the content is found. But do you know anything about the history of the term media intelligence? Is that a phrase that you came up with there at FIBEP, or had it been used for many years beforehand?
I'm actually not sure, and I would not like to say it was invented in FIBET. I don't think so, but maybe my predecessors will correct me. I don't really know. But what I know, it is just reflecting the change we have gone through, like from really press cutting into a digital era and into an insight era. Because at the beginning, it was just about the collection of information and delivering the relevant content to our clients. But with the rapid growth of data, also rise of social media, because these are like let's say terrific volumes that could be collected out there. Then it was more than evident that we need to focus on insight, on delivering the insight to the client so they can use it for their strategic decision. And when this happened, I think this term was let's say discovered or started to be using because media monitoring was not actually reflecting the reality of the world. It has turned into media intelligence.
No, I think you're right. We have definitely in our both of our professional lifetimes gone from a period of, let's say, not scarcity of media, but hard to find media to now making sense of too much media. And you're right, the intelligence that you need to make from it, because sometimes it's about finding the good stuff from amongst these huge volumes of noise, and cutting through all of that noise as well. Okay, brilliant. How do you personally keep up to date with everything that changes, because I find podcasts are a really important tool for me to keep my professional development going. And then I find that these in-person events, particularly more so since the past 5 years, are so crucial for my own personal professional development and also for keeping these relationships alive. Because, as we say, in our industry, it's about the partnerships and the relationships as much as anything else to be able to offer, kind of comprehensive, holistic solutions to our clients. It's often about who we know within the industry and how we can connect people that can help each other. But how over the years have you continued to keep your own personal knowledge of the changing face of the media landscape and media intelligence industry up to date? How do you learn?
I think the way is pretty the same like yours. I follow the industry news and reports. I mean, like for example, state of the industry in FIBEP or ICO report. So these are very valuable sources of information where the industry is going. I also attend conferences and webinars to, stay in touch, to stay in the loop. And I engage with peers and thought leaders to exchange the insights. And I also experiment with new tools and technologies from AI analytics to social listening platforms so I can understand both the possibilities and limitations firsthand. And what is important to mention, like you have to be curious to stay in the loop. So if you are curious, you are definitely up to date with your knowledge.
No, curious is a word I use often whenever I appear on these kinds of conversations, and people say to me, what are the qualities that are needed for success in this industry? I think those of us who realize that we only know actually a small amount of what could be known in this industry and who are humble and eager to learn more, I think are those that continue to evolve as professionals. There's an exciting project that FIBEP announced in one of its recent newsletters called the FIBEP Work and Travel Program, which I don't know if you're able to tell us a little bit more about that, but that feels to me like another exciting opportunity for professionals to benefit from the networking opportunities that come with FIBEP. Whose idea was it, this work and travel program? And can you tell us anything more about that?
Uh, I believe it was an idea from Verena Maltfeiter. She is from Italian media intelligence company, a FIBEP member. And she just came up and suggested this idea that it would be really beneficial for the members to create an opportunity for their employees, and especially for younger employees who would like to explore the world and get, I'm sorry, and get some more knowledge about the industry and how things are getting done in different countries. And so the idea behind is like there is always a sending company and a receiving company, both associated in FIBEP. And the sending company still is still employing the employee and paying the salary and everything, uh, while the employee is relocated for a certain time to the receiving company and is able to visit their office and work from there for the sending company. So that's the idea behind. It could strengthen the cooperation between FIBEP members and also get some more motivation for the young people in our industry.
Oh, I think it's a wonderful initiative, and it's very important that we do take into consideration the evolving and changing needs of the next generation that's coming into our industry. At recent AMEC events, there's been good representation, we kind of call it from the next gen group, to understand the challenges facing the next generation. I suppose as a mother of a 23, 24-year-old, I sort of see this keenly myself in the challenges that they face and what they want from work. And I think more so than ever, those who perhaps spend more of their time working from home. I mean, I've been working from home for 20 years. It's these opportunities that the trade associations give to us to travel, to meet new people, to actually get out of the home office, to spend some time with our team members because we're all based in different parts of the world is so important that I think that we have to give thanks to those who work in our trade associations, providing us these opportunities to come together to actually enjoy ourselves and to celebrate what we've all achieved, I think, as an industry. I think it's always a wonderful time. I love it when, I remember at the FIBEP day, a chance to have a group photo. There's always a group photo opportunity at the AMEC summits as well. And that group photo sort of stays the same, but then it grows as well. And the same people as sometimes at both the AMEC events and the FIBEP events, but then there's this other amazing group of people who join in as well. So it's just, I think more so than ever, I've always found that our, let's call them media intelligence events, are the friendliest, most welcoming events if one then compares it to perhaps just a regular PR or communications event. And I think the reason for it is because what we do is so kind of specific, and sometimes even our own family don't understand what we do. I've always found that in my lifetime, my own mother
Same here, the same here.
doesn't really understand what we do. And so we find this sense of happiness when we meet others who work in similar organizations where we don't have to explain what we do because we all understand what we do. And it just brings us together on a sort of, there's this bond of friendship, I think, that's already there before we've even started saying hello to each other. So I really welcome these future opportunities that are coming to meet. So let's just reflect. So the upcoming FIBEP events in 2026, we've got March 25th to the 26th, the copyright talks in Oslo, sponsored by O Point. April 22nd, 2026 in Tenerife, Tech Day, sponsored by eMedia Monitor. And I've got to actually give thanks to eMedia Monitor. They're also our headline sponsor at the AMEC Summit this year as well, doing lots of great work to support the community. So thanks ever so much, eMedia Monitor, for that. And actually a quick shout out also, if I may, to the AMEC Summit in Dublin in May. I think it's May the 18th to the 20th in Dublin. So many opportunities. And then of course, Tokyo later in the year. So many opportunities for us to all get together and be in the same room. And so I thank you, Magdalena, for the opportunities that FIBEP is giving us to be in the same room. I look forward to the chance that we're next speaking to each other, perhaps not on screen like we are today, but actually in a room together. And I also thank you for the opportunity to speak to us today and to give us some of that exclusive information about the Tokyo Summit. And would really like to thank you for joining us today to speak to our community and reflect on the role of trade associations in the media intelligence industry. Thank you ever so much, Magdalena, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Steph. It was a real pleasure.
Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.
Goodbye and see you.